Whenever I have somebody who says they've been going to meetings for a long time, but they still seem to have a lot of shame, I say, tell me this first step. And they'll say, admitted we were up. There you go. You already told me the problem. You missed the first word. You said admitted. You didn't say we admitted. You're trying to do it alone. See? And that shame doesn't, it's not possible. You have to do it as a we. There's a thing called state-dependent learning. So if you, basically what it says is whatever condition your brain is in when you learn something, that's the best condition for your brain to be in when you want to access that information again. So if you're studying for a test and you stay up all night and drink 4 pots of coffee, you really ought to take the test after 4 pots of coffee, because that information was encoded under the influence of caffeine. Okay? Now, same thing happens with emotions, that someone who is depressed has lots of access to depressing memories and almost no access to memories that aren't depressing. So you say, well, you haven't always been this depressed. Oh, yes, I have. You know, and then a year later, they're not depressed. You say, man, you remember how depressed you were? Oh, I wasn't that bad. No, you were going to kill yourself. Oh, no, I was just kidding. Because they can't access that state. Now, the problem is there's always costs and payoffs for any kind of a change. The costs are the thing in whatever role you're in, what you have to do, even if you don't want to do it, and what you can't do, even though you want to do it. But whatever role there is, there's also payoffs. Yeah, I remember I worked in this halfway house, and we told people that if they were going to do anything outside of the halfway house, they had to process it with the other group members. So they didn't get what process meant. They thought that was permission. So they'd come in and say, can I go to the Eric Clapton concert? So, well, have you got your rent paid? No. Do you have a job? No. Do you have a sponsor? Why, there's somebody I'm going to ask. Have you been to any meetings this week? No. Okay, so you have no money. How are you going to the Eric Clapton concert? Oh, this guy I know has got, give me a free ticket. Yeah? Who is this guy? Oh, he's my former drug dealer, but he promised he wouldn't be high. Can I go or not? You know, flash forward 6 months, and the person comes in and says, okay, I've paid my rent, I've been to 2 meetings this week, talked to my sponsor this week, and I've got money set aside for my down payment on my apartment when I leave. I paid for the tickets myself, and I'm going to be going with, if I go, I'm going to go with another recovering person. Can anybody think of anything that I've missed? See, the openness that maybe I don't know everything. And at that point, people go, no, that sounds good to me. And then you can trust yourself. So, restore us to sanity. Restore. That means at one time you weren't. Basically, this is saying you weren't born shameful. That this is something that you learned. And so it's not your natural state. I was in a war, and my job was to call in the coordinates for an artillery barrage. And I made a mistake. And the bombs landed on an orphanage. And all of the children died. And he said, I can't bring those children back. Which is true, isn't it? Right? And so he said, because I can't do that, that's unforgivable. Well, I said, well, if you could bring them back, then you wouldn't need forgiveness. Because there wouldn't be a crime. And he said, well, yeah, that's wonderful psychobabble. But, you know, I'm committed to my plan. And I said, so do you believe that these children will be in heaven? This heaven that you're waiting for? And he said, oh, they didn't do anything. And I said, okay. So let's just imagine you die and you go to heaven and there you are. And all these little kids run up to you. And they say, oh, you're the guy that blew us up, huh? Yeah. What did you do with all those years of life that you had that we didn't have because you blew us up? Oh, well, I smoked and whored around and got drunk and threw up on myself and, you know, went bankrupt and generally made a mess of my life and hurt anybody who came within 10 feet of me. Is that what you're going to tell them? Oh, well, that's kind of embarrassing.